Hello and welcome back to KGM Home Inspections segments from attic to crawl. Today we have a special guest coming in, John Walsh. He's president of Davis Roofing here in Orland Park. And you know, the roof is probably one of the key factors when it comes to home inspection. You know, everyone always asks, how is the roof? How old is the roof? How many layers does it have? And I come from a roofing background, so that's one of my kind of close and dear to my heart and niches when I am doing a home inspection. I tend to pick roofs apart quite a bit. But so we're going to talk to John a little bit here today, and John is one that I call in quite often. I refer him to my clients and my customers because of the trust factor there and the knowledge and the family-owned business that he's had here for quite a while. So John, I'll let you kind of do another little self-introduction here and tell us where you're located. And
Sure. My name is John Walsh, president of Davis Roofing. We're in Orland Park off Harlem Avenue and 157th. My family started this business in 1962. My grandfather ran it for about 15 years, and my dad ran it for about 40 years, 35 years, and now me and my brother have taken it over, and we've been running it for the last few years.
Wow, okay. I mean, that's for a business to be in that long a stretch in today's economic is really something to be said with that. And again, I personally am aware of your work, and again, I have no problem referring you to customers and such when it comes to that and for questions and things of that nature. So we'll kind of get right into the heart of this here. One of the big questions I get, and I tend to be a little gray when I tend to answer it, only because of a committal aspect, but I try and give people a range. So lifespan of a roof, that's always the number one question. Well, how many more years does the roof have? So I'll let you kind of explain the difference between a 3-tab shingle and what's considered an architectural shingle, and kind of what goes along with those.
Sure. A 3-tab shingle is really a single ply shingle. It's most common. You've been seeing them on roofs for the last 50 years. In the last 20 years, architectural shingles have been kind of making a move into being the number one in the market as far as choices go with roofs. The 3-tab shingle, because it's single ply, you're only going to get about a 15 to 20 year lifespan out of it, and that's if everything's perfect. There's a lot of factors that go into the longevity of a roof. So with an architectural shingle, you're probably going to push closer to 30-year lifespan on something like that. The architectural shingle is a laminated shingle, so it's a 2-part shingle, so it's going to be a little bit heavier than the single ply, and it's just going to last a lot longer given that the weight is there. So.
Yeah, I notice a lot of times if I'm doing newer construction, what I mean by newer construction, homes that are in that 10-year mark, and where I call them a contractor shingle's been used, and at 8 to 10 years the shingle's already shot.
Sure.
Basically just even a small hailstorm goes through and leaves huge dents in it, and they're not resilient to wind, and this is even if they're put down correctly, and half the time they're not even put down correctly. So with that. So, and then the other kind of thing that I have that I'm really big on when it's part of a roof component, or at least I consider that, is like the gutters and the proper maintenance and downspouts. So often I'll see gutters put up and there's no flashing behind it. There's no what they call gutter apron. It's a piece of metal that actually comes from underneath the shingle and runs into the gutter, or what they call drip edge, which is another type of flashing that goes up the rakes or like the corner of the homes as well. And all of these components help expand the life of the shingle. But when you don't have things like that installed, I mean, what are some of the repercussions over a long period of time that can happen with stuff like that?
Well, especially if just having the lack of gutters altogether, and can cause erosion to your landscaping. The gutters are designed to catch all the water runoff from the rain that's coming off of your roof and redirect it away from the house. If you don't have the proper gutter system, you could have erosion in your landscaping, which could also lead to issues with your foundations, leaky foundations, cracks in your foundations, which can be extremely expensive to repair. So the main thing about gutters is, of course, the flashing needs to be on there. Without the flashing, you could have issues where it could back up and leak into the soffits and into the house. The biggest issue we're having with gutters, especially today right now, is because it's fall, and the fall here are leaves, and most people are under the idea that they just have to clean out their leaves once a year, and what they don't understand is is from the time the leaves fall till the time you clean them out. It may rain in between those times, and with that, you can have gutter backup, which could either overflow your gutters or same thing back up into the house.
Right.
So we usually recommend in the fall, at least once a week, go up and at least check your gutters and make sure the leaves that fell that week are cleared out before the winter comes.
Well, I know another not exactly a cure, but to help manage that, and you actually had put them on our gutters, is a leaf guard system, and not the leaf guard system you see on TV, but it was just more of a type of a cover
Right.
that really allowed a lot of drainage at the same time without clogging. I mean, I don't think our gutters clogged at all.
Right.
With that on there.
Yeah, the product that we use is called Gutter RX, and it's an aluminum product that's designed to actually fasten to your existing gutter system. So unlike the other pricey products out there, you don't have to actually replace your whole gutter system. You can keep what's up there. So it's a lot more affordable, and it also comes with a 20-year no-clog guarantee. So you just don't have to worry about cleaning your gutters at that point.
Otherwise, you and Jeff come out and clean the gutters.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
All right. Well, another very important, and again, pet peeve of mine is when I climb on a roof, probably one of the things that is most lacking, and especially homes that are at that 15, 20-year mark for the most part, is ventilation. And of course, usually then when I get into the attic, then we've got a whole, not only ventilation, but / insulation issue of concern. Want to kind of speak to that and what would be optimal and...
Yeah, so ventilation and insulation kind of work hand in hand when it comes to having a proper attic space. The ventilation system works on two parts. It works on the roof vents that you have on your roof. A lot of people see the square mushroom vents that you have up there now. More commonly, we're getting into using ridge vents now, which are more effective. But also the other part to attic ventilation is the soffit vents. And those are the vents that are on your overhang. And how the system actually works is the air flows in through those soffit vents and out the roof vents.
So most people either paint or they cover with insulation.
Exactly, yeah. Most people think that your attic is going to be vented solely by the roof vents, and they're missing the most important part is the intake. And I was just on a house today where she had a ventilation issue. She was having issues with condensation and ice dams in the wintertime and wondering why all this heat from her house is being trapped in the attic. She had 0 soffit vents around the whole house. So she had no airflow going through there.
No drafting.
Right. And so the ventilation is real important. The other aspect of it, though, that's important is the insulation. Especially in the wintertime when we heat our houses, heat naturally rises to the highest point. If we don't have proper insulation in the attic, that heat, it's going to just rise up and go straight into the attic. We could have all the ventilation that we have and blow all that air out, that hot air out, but then your home is just going to keep getting heated, and you're just going to keep losing it. So to work hand in hand is to get proper insulation, which in Northern Illinois is an R value of 49.
49.
Yeah,
it just went up actually a couple of years ago. It was R38.
Right, yeah. Now they're saying R38 for Southern Illinois. Northern Illinois, they're saying R49, which is about 14 inches of blown insulation, which is quite a bit.
Blown in cellulose.
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, in order to have the proper attic climate, you really need to focus on both the ventilation and the insulation.
Yeah, they're definitely key with that. And the last thing I want to talk to you about too is, and again, this is the number one thing about skylights, and what I tell people is, and when I was in the roofing trade, the only thing I used to tell them was, one thing I will guarantee you about skylights is at some point in time they will leak, and that you're putting a big hole in your roof. However, it's usually not the skylight itself that leaks. I found that rarely to be the case. It was usually around the skylight, the flashing, and as the shingles get older, the flashing loses a lot of its integrity. And would you, kind of speak to that? Would you agree that that's normally where most of the leaking comes in? It's usually around the skylight.
It is most common around the skylight. Usually it's a failure from the shingle. A lot of times we'll find that there was no ice and water shield membrane put around the skylight, which is a waterproofing agent. So we've also found issues where the seals on the glass actually fail a lot of times, and so there's no seal between the glass and the frame, and that's causing air leaks, which creates condensation, which makes the whole skylight get out of whack, and then that just starts to leak itself. So skylights are super vulnerable to leaks occurring, so you really want to take a look at those and make sure they're done right.
Yeah, it can make a difference with that. All right, well, John, you know what, I definitely appreciate you coming in. As I started out the segment with, you're kind of in the KGM Home Inspection Rolodex, so to speak, here for referrals and trusting our customers with your knowledge with roofing and things of that nature. And So again, thank you for coming in. Appreciate the time you've given us with that. And again, Davis Roofing, what's website?
DavisRoofing.com.
There you go. There you go. All right. Thanks again. Stay tuned for our next segment, which is going to be furnace and air conditioning.